you have a bigger friendship or relationship with Rue this season. What was it like getting to build that out and kind of, build up that bond between them? Because it's kind of nice to see that they've stayed connected all these years later.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. And I think that the thing that like keeps them connected is kind of like the loss of Fez, is that they kind of have that like mutual like grief over him being like gone now. And I think that is what brought them closer, is losing Fez and just kind of realizing like, oh, like we don't have Fez, like this guy who protected us anymore. Like, like who are we going to look out for now? And that's like why, Faye really trusts Rue a lot, because, she doesn't really have anyone else to turn to.
And she gets into a verbal altercation with Alamo over the phone when he's like, we're going to keep Rue because you took one of our girls with your drugs. And she gets very volatile and calls him pig, which hits quite harder for him, I think, than maybe Lori intended. Do you think she meant it with the malice and the, the way with which Alamo receives it?
I don't know. I was so surprised when I saw the episodes to find out how hard Alamo had taken it. I didn't know that his character had been really affected by her calling him that. And I'm kind of curious about why it got to him so much and what the full extent of their history together was, What
was it like getting to like walk into that set for the first time?
For me, the slipper was that was home. You know what I mean? That was where I was most comfortable. You feel what I'm saying? Like that was like happy place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, we had to focus on a lot of but when we went to the slipper, that was when niggas kicked their feet up. You know what I mean? Took their shoes off and got really comfortable in there, start rubbing their feet together. When you rub your feet together, you in the most comfortable space you could be in. You get that little, that's what it sounds like up underneath the covers, like when you rub, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I want you to understand the slipper is when you think of the slipper and when we in there, you got to think like, them is comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like they in there so comfortable. They rubbing their feet together, regardless to how chaotic and hectic it may be. They in their element. Mm.
What can you say about, the darkness that we'll see unfold? Because obviously there's this mention of her saying that she helps cover up this death. And it's the first time she's ever done that. But is there more times that we're going to be seeing that unfold? Is there more behind the curtain that we haven't seen yet as the first few episodes have unfolded?
Well, as the episode unfolds, you will begin to see the depths of the darkness of Alamo's world and the ones that Rue will have to navigate, the first of which is covering up the death of this young lady. That's the beginning of entering that world. It's only going to get darker and deeper from there, unfortunately. And Alamo is there to say that, it's that apple on her head is a test of her courage. Do you really want this? Meaning this world. She's jumping from the fire, from the frying pan into the fire. The fire she sees as freedom. She sees the glitz, the glam, the girls dancing, the house perched on top of the hill, the gold guns, all of the trimmings. She wants that for herself. But there's a cost to that. And Alamo is a ruthless man who has pulled himself up from his bootstraps and built his empire with 5 strip clubs, selling sex, selling drugs out the back door, selling guns, and selling people. And she will discover how dark he is as this goes on and how entangled she becomes in this world. And I think for him, he is that kind of, it's almost like a mentor, disciple, father, daughter, but twisted, ominous father-daughter. As I've said, I think there's a respect that she has for him and his accomplishments as a Black man, as a frontier man. But I think she realizes that all that's shiny is not good. And I think she really by her relationship with Alamo Brown, realizes there's a cost to every choice that you make, especially when it's on the dark side. So as you go into the season, you will see how she gets, inextricably interwoven into the darkness of his world, and how also she becomes a pawn for him to play against Laurie. And so she's caught between a rock and a hard place. And the inevitable is the inevitable in that world. Do you know what I mean?